In a city where Asian culture meets a new future, the global language of cinema is finding a new voice. This isn't just a festival, it's a collection of words.
We gathered festival in the jury in order to find this gem.
As AI and new technologies blur the line between the captured and the created, we face a digital frontier.
Did they push cinema forward? Was it something I haven't seen before?
Is this the start of a new era of filmmaking? A new reality for actors? At Beijing International Film Festival, the future is being rewritten. To understand where the future of films is headed, I met with stars who shine on the silver screen as we zoom in for a close-up on Tiantan Award's jury president, the legendary Juliette Binoche. Welcome to China Daily Show. So the show's name is Cultural Frontline. So my first question is, what is that frontline of Beijing International Film Festival that attracted you the most?
Well, what we're trying to do in the festival is to try to find a diamond of a film. It can be the story, it can be the way it's done, it can be in the acting, but something that's going to enhance you, that's going to take you somewhere that you've never seen before. Because cinema is an art, and so to try and understand what is the most artful, expression of cinema. We gathered, in a festival, in the jury, in order to find this gem. And it takes a lot of discussions because we have different sensibilities, different ideas. But that's so interesting because you learn and you may change your mind as well, so you're transforming throughout the whole process.
This year I noticed there's an AIGC film section this year. And what do you think of the new technology's influence on the current film creation and how we use that technology, or that technology may influence the current creators of the film?
I think technique is a medium, it's a way of telling a story. At the end of the day, when you watch a film and it stays in you, in your mind, in your heart, in your body somehow, it's more important than seeing beautiful, frames and technique. And I think you have to go back to the core of making a film, which is, what kind, not only the story, the way it's been told. See, when you're a kid, you watch, you have stories and it stays in you forever. But you've made that, the technique is just to help the story. But if you put the technique before the story, at the end of the day, at the end of watching a film, you feel, well, yeah, that was technically very well done, but it doesn't stay in you.
Yes, because I've seen so many of your films. A lot of those stories of those films stays in my heart for the past 20 or 30 years. So I do think you have that magic to create a good story.
Everybody has the magic. You just have to dare opening the door of your magic and entering inside of you somehow. The actor has to believe deep in his own being, in his heart, in his guts, in his cells, and his mind, and you have it inside you. So you just have to lift it into that place, but go down into your being, definitely. Yes. And then the story is going to be told even better, and it's going to stay in the audience's heart.
Speaking of good stories, I know you have been visited China for many times, many years. I believe there are Chinese stories that happen on the streets, that happen around you, that make you feel interesting. So beyond the screen, beyond the Beijing International Film Festival, inside Beijing, inside China, what are those good stories that's impressed you, or those beautiful scenes that impressed you?
Just meeting people. What their life, everyday basic life. There's a story in each of us, and I've been traveling, in different places, and I'm always very moved. And I love seeing this simplicity and some traditions I really love in China. I love the countryside. and the mountains, the special, yellow mountains, spiritual mountains. I love all the legend, the poetry. For me, it brings so much awareness of why we're here on Earth. It's a way to prolong your thoughts and your being into nature and the beauty of nature. So I think in a lot of places in China, you still have that.
Yeah. Is it possible in the near future you created any films based on this kind of scenes, this kind of atmosphere, or
I'd love to
telling
be in a
story?
film like that. Yeah. I'd love to be in a film like that in China, of course. Maybe it'll happen.
My question is, do you believe the same good story can penetrate those generations?
Absolutely. So what I was saying actually at the press conference today is like, it's not because it's film, it's a film that it's cinema. Cinema is an art form. It's like painting. It's an art. So if you're really interested in knowing what it is, you've got to go back to the history of cinema and try to find out by yourself. You've got to search yourself because there are so many images today and so many films, but it doesn't mean it's cinema. You just have that in mind.
You mentioned that things that also bother me, that there are so many pictures, so many films, so many content information coming to people's mind all together. We are content receivers, so we don't know what to see every day, so there are so many things coming in front of our faces.
You just have to know how it feels inside after you've experienced those images of this or that. How do I feel? Did I feel nourished? Did I feel good? Did it open my mind into a place that made me happy? I learned something so different. Then I thought, that's the questions. You've got to ask yourself. If it doesn't bring that, move on. Find something else. And I know the addiction. I know it can be very addictive, obsessive addiction. Try and change it. I feel like I didn't lose my time in. My life is meaningful at that moment. I will take this film forever in my life.
So after all these years, what kind of story still touches you, and what kind of role that still interests you and make you want to be a part of? As an actress, or as a director, or as an audience?
Now, I've experienced so many. I was very lucky. I worked with wonderful directors and actors. And it's true that the films that I gave myself a share, because as an actor, you've got to give yourself a lot. Otherwise, nothing's going to come out. But at the end of the day, it's worth it, because it gives a sense of purpose.
Yes.
And I think when there's purpose in your life, then it makes you happy. It makes you lighter in a way. The lightness, it comes from being really in your own path, and choosing a path that is meaningful to you.
Yeah.
It will be meaningful to others as well.
Yeah, because everyone is watching you, because people around you is watching you, and we have the influence for the younger generation.
They're not watching you, they're watching what's going through you. It's not about yourself, it's not about ego. You're using your ego in order to give something that is beyond. It's bigger than yourself. And you can say it's love that's going through me. It's intelligence that's going through me. Because it's not about you.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it'd be impossible. It'd be too heavy.
Yes.
But the fact that it's going through you, it gives purpose. That it's more generous than yourself.
From the iconic theme music of Titanic to the immersive world building of the Avatar franchise, another guest of the Beijing International Film Festival has shaped the sound of modern cinema. Join me as I dive deep into the creative mind of Simon Franglen. And today is about a class, and I've been in your classroom for a little bit while. And my first question is going to be, what is the most important thing you want to express to all the young students here in this university?
I'm hoping they are not like me. I hope they're like themselves. I hope they write their own music and they mix their own sound and they have their own journeys to go on, but I can tell them a bit about my journey. I think the most important thing that's going to be in terms of their journey is going to be understanding that it's not a straight road, that the road curves, and that there will be times when it goes great and there'll be times when it goes terribly, and you have to allow for those curves and for those left turns to happen and embrace them and know that that is part of the creative journey.
Yes, I always thought composing is a very complicated work because I see your demonstration how a soundtrack can compose hundreds of small parts and small details of it. So how many details that was involved, and what are the things that would inspire you to create one of that epic soundtrack?
I think the first film scores that I worked on were all done with tape before we had digital tape recording. And there might be 8 or 16 or 24 tracks. And you had to restrict yourself to the number of tracks that you had available. And that gave you a focus. Sometimes less is very good. The fact that I can have 1,000 tracks now, I think it's because of my background, it's because of the years I've spent that I know how to use them without getting lost in the music. The process is more like cooking a dish and using spices. And how you use your spices are what make you into the different composer that you are. And so I'm looking at this and discovering, and I'm looking at the ingredients. There will be the main ingredients, the themes, or the rhythms and so on, but there will also be those colors which are like the Sichuan peppers that you're adding to this, or to the chilies, or anything else, the salt. Those things are the extra elements that elevate a dish from being just something that's boring into something that is sophisticated. I've used both traditional instruments from China, erhu and guzhen and pipe and morinhe. We take some of the amazing singing from Yunnan province and so on. There is amazing different textures available in China. Morinhe, the string instruments, they became a key part of the sound of the ash in Avatar Fire and Ash, because the ash tribe, that texture, those strings were an important thing that I could bring in.
So throughout all these years, anything changed for you? I mean, the process of making or the understanding towards the music or soundtrack, especially with the involvement of the technologies.
The thing that's remained the same, I hope, is that themes are still important in terms of the writing that I do. But what has evolved is the technical levels of recording that we have now are the best there have ever been. I have been working with looking at AI systems. I will not use AI systems to write. I've been looking at AI systems to support some of the things we do in terms of library management, in terms of organizing the material that we deal with, because we deal with terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of data. And so AI systems are very good at doing things like that. Now, my own personal opinion is that AI systems, in terms of their ability to write, they are writing average, because AI is based on the most popular. It looks at the most popular responses and tries to emulate that, which means that everything ends up with a layer of gray across it. I think also the problem with AI systems is that it may take away from young composers and young musicians at the beginning of their career. That allowed me to learn. If all of that training at the beginning of my career had disappeared, it would be tough for me to get to the next level. I've had to do things the longhand way. I've had to create music using no computers. And therefore I have skills that are based on, I have a big library of books that I can pull from. If you have AI systems just orchestrating for you, if you have them doing all the arrangement and making all the instrumentation for you, then the mistakes are where the magic are. I look for the wrong notes, because the wrong notes are what make me me. The right notes, everybody can write the right notes, but it's the wrong notes that I choose that make me me as a composer. And if an AI system is just fixing all my problems, then it's going to make me into something rather average.
So the creativity, I think, is what makes humans special. So what do you think is the origination of the creativity?
You have to sweat. Creativity is 95% sweat and struggle and 5% inspiration. And if you have no sweat and you have no struggle, then that means then the inspiration will not have anything. You have to have a rigorous testing of your music by yourself and by your director and so on. And that comes with effort and struggle and pain. And if they're not, all of that is gone. If I just put my food in the microwave and press heat, and there is my dinner, that's not the same as cutting up all the ingredients and making the dish by hand.
Okay, let's bring the topic back to the Beijing International Film Festival. So among all the works you have seen now, so what may be those elements that would impress you?
In this case, the films needed to challenge me. They needed to make me think. Did they push cinema forward? Was it something I hadn't seen before? Or did it tell me something about humanity? Those were the three criteria I was using. You're looking for something that is new. You're looking for the storytellers of tomorrow, and you want to see some great direction, you want to see great acting, you want to hear a great score. You want to see all of the skills that are required, because a film is not one person, a film is an entire crew of people, and therefore there are so many different elements to make it great. I think that China has a great heritage of music. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens if somebody takes some music from the different areas of China and then takes it to the next generation somewhere new.